Clip Rock here with the head basketball coach of the Pirates, Mike Schwartz, joining us live inside the Pirate Radio studios. Was talking some trading cards with Coach Schwartz during the break. My dad and I really got into that. Coach, you said you've got some cards you want to go through one day too, right?
You know, it's funny. My brother and I, we collected cards growing up, and we both have we still have them. They're tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
He's got his, and we talk about it, but it's what you said. I think it's a lot more in depth right now. You have to get them graded. You have to do all that kind of stuff. It wasn't like that back then. It was open it up.
Yeah.
Eat the piece of gum inside of it and then see what you got. But, I think that's a really cool clip.
When you retire 30, 40 years from now, you got a project you can do there. Go through all your cards.
I hope I can coach for 30, 40 years. I'd be excited to do that.
Well, it's great to talk with you, Coach, and just kind of catch up on where we are in this process with ECU basketball this offseason. And, boy, now more than ever, you've got to look ahead instead of looking back, the way everything works so fast now. But I do want to ask you about last year and why didn't it go the way you maybe wanted it to go last year?
Yeah, it's a great question, Clip. And here's what I think. When I look back at last year, we can point to a lot of different things why maybe we didn't have the success or some of the results we wanted, why we did have some success at points during the year. In the end of the day, from a basketball standpoint, I think we struggled shooting the basketball to the level that I think we needed to be really efficient on offense. And on the defensive end, I actually think we defended well, but we were not a great defensive rebounding team. We've pretty consistently over the first 2 years been a team that has offensive rebounded very well. We've taken care of the basketball well. Two really important parts of being a solid offensive team. We did struggle field goal percentage-wise, and particularly three-point field goal percentage-wise consistently last season. Basically, Brandon Johnson shot the ball well, R.J. Felton shot the ball well, but we weren't able to get much more consistent shooting. Now, what are the reasons? We could throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. We did have some injuries that we battled early in the season. Late in the season, we had the same thing happen. Midway through the year, we lost Quentin and Quentin DeBunje and Ben Biella. So we went through our ebbs and flows of that. But you know what, Clip? There's no excuses. In the end of the day, that's part of sports. That's part of coaching. That's part of competition. You have injuries. Guys got to step up. And last year, we just weren't able to find a groove to be in a groove for 5, 6, 7 games at a time. We won 3 games in a row, then we lost 1 or 2. Then we won 2, then we lost 2. And we stayed in that. And, late in the season, actually, at the conference tournament, I thought we played one of our best games versus Tulsa. When we beat Tulsa in the conference tournament, they were a very hot team at that point. And then we came back and we didn't play very well versus South Florida, the conference champion.
And they shot the lights out in that game. So those two things combined led to East Carolina getting knocked out of the conference tournament. A lot of new faces, new names on the roster, but some familiar faces. One, the most familiar, R.J. Felton, and I've sang his praises. I don't know if we appreciate him enough around here for what he does on the court, but also the person he is. He's a great young man. I've said, Coach, if East Carolina could send one athlete to the Olympics just to compete in every event, I'd send R.J. because he is the ultimate competitor, athlete, warrior, whatever you want to say about him. But he has really embraced, it seems like, being almost Mr. Pirate, being the face of this basketball team. Is that fair to say?
I love that you said that, Clip, and you made another great point. Not only him as a basketball player and as an athlete, but him as a person. And now I get to see him as a big brother because we have his brother, LaDante Felton, here.
Yeah.
But, I've seen him with his parents as a son. I've seen him now as a big brother, again, with LaDante in our locker room now. But I've said this all along, as good of a player as he's even a better person, a better human being. And what RJ has meant to our program, this university, and this community. A great way to say it is we all know the story about him last year with why he cut his hair and how he felt when that ball went out of bounds off his hair versus Florida, where if we get that ball, we have a chance to do what we talk. That's a huge game if we can win that game.
Yeah.
And, but long story is RJ, when the portal opened on Monday, right after Selection Sunday this year, the portal opened. And everybody was there was over 1,000 people that put it that they were going into the portal, and they made these official announcements and thanking their previous universities for their time there, but they were going to pursue a new opportunity, which is what the landscape is right now of college athletics, not just basketball. And R.J. Felton on the same day puts out a post that says, "I'm a Pirate for life. And I love ECU, I love Greenville, and I'm a Pirate for life." And I think that just shows what a special person he is.
Mike Schwartz joining us. The portal taketh away, the portal giveth as well. So can we talk about some of these new guys, Coach, you're excited about joining the roster this year? And what were you looking at in particular to add to this roster?
Yeah, and to what you just said, you said something, portal taketh away, but it also giveth.
Yeah, two-way street, right?
And for the supporters of universities and fans and people that know, because of the guardrails and the maps that have been put in front of us as coaches, as administrators, as universities, the guidelines the NCAA has put forth, to look at any program, it doesn't matter what sport, I'm not just talking about ECU basketball, and feel like it's a negative if you lose 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Honestly, Clip, it's almost wasted energy right now. That's the reality. That is what the map that's put in front.
Yeah.
And you can look at great teams. Look, we know we're not a big fans of the shades of blue around here, but we know that Duke and North Carolina have great basketball programs. They lost many players. I look at another team in our conference that lost 11 of their 13 players. So with that, this is just unfortunately the way it is. But you make a great point, and I think if we embrace the positivity of the new players that come in and the opportunities of guys that really want to be at ECU, and I know we'll talk about them here shortly, I think it's a great thing. I really do.
I always bring this up. I just remember, and I'm going back 30-some years now, so it was a long time ago, but I remember my dad making a big deal about Clifford Rozier transferring from North Carolina to Louisville. And because nobody transferred from North Carolina. And when somebody transferred, this was probably early 90s, I guess, that was a big deal back then. It made headlines. Now, R.J. Felton makes the headlines because he stays. That's not the norm anymore. So I'm with you there. It is epidemic, might be a strong word for it, but I do try to tell folks when they say, what's wrong with East Carolina football or basketball, or baseball even? Why are these guys leaving? You got to look around and see what's going on, and this is what's happening. You have
to look much further outside of this.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Godwin has as good of a program as you can have in the country for any sport. I mean, what he's done with baseball and the success that baseball has here, it's not about that all the time. Again, it's the landscape. But with that being said, I would just tell you the 4 transfer portal guys that have come in. You know, Jan Farrell, C.J. Walker, Julian Samaro, and Jordan Riley. Couldn't be more excited about them both as players and as people and as teammates so far that they've been here. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about them. But, again, I say it that Pirate Nation gets a chance because of the portal to get 4 great young men as a part of our university.
Did East Carolina upgrade its shooting and outside shooting this offseason?
And I really believe we do. I really believe we have. I really believe we have done it. Practice has indicated that throughout the summer. We have practiced over 20 times right now because of a foreign trip that we're getting ready to take next week, so we can talk about that a little bit. But the bottom line is what we've seen on film, what we've seen numbers-wise as we stat our practices, without a doubt, in our opinion, we have been able to enhance our shooting.
I'll ask you about some freshmen and some more returners, but how about the trip, Coach? Where are you guys heading?
We're going to go to the Bahamas next week. We're going to play 2 games in the Bahamas next week. Feel very fortunate and appreciative about it. Our administration and John Gilbert and Ryan Robinson and the whole administration allowing us to do it. And I have to make note of Woody and Jennifer Tyner, 2 incredible Pirate Club members that have been so supportive of our program, but they have single-handedly made this trip possible for our student athletes, and it happened after a win during the year. We talked about it, and I think it was a great experience for our guys, but now it gets to come to fruition next week.
Question from Twitter: will there be a stream of any of these games, and also who and what players will you be playing against?
Unfortunately, there won't be a stream, unfortunately, on this. We'll go play the 2 games over there. As far as the players and teams we're playing against, I mean, UNC Wilmington's making this trip. UTEP is making this trip. Louisville's making this trip. Many teams have already made it over the past few years. So we'll be playing against this select group of players that are part of their federation, their national federation for the Bahamian Select Group. It's not their national team. It's guys that it's a lot of former college players that may live there, a lot of former college players that may be playing some kind of pro league in the Caribbean, and so we'll be playing against them in Nassau.
Speaking of former players, jumping off track a little bit, but the basketball tournament that's going on, and I know you've got a million things going on, but I'm curious, have you followed any of this? I love the idea of it, of former players, alumni getting together. Have you seen these gyms in Houston and Kentucky and the fans that are showing up? I know I think Wichita has a team that always has a big following, and it's just such a cool thing for basketball to kind of be out there during the hot summer, right? It's
huge, Clip, and you see that I think last night the team from Louisville won, and if I'm not mistaken, Monday night it'll be Kentucky's team versus Louisville team in Freedom Hall. Louisville's old, where they used to play. So, and you know what? I've coached quite a few players over my years that have played on different teams and talked to them about the experiences. It's a really neat event. I think it's very competitive. And from my understanding now, and I think it has grown over the years, from my understanding now, the only rule is you cannot be a current NBA player. And there are guys that were playing in the NBA last year, the year before, that are on some of these rosters. Obviously, quite a few professional European players, international players. It's very competitive.
Yeah, saw Montrezl Harrell playing for Louisville.
He was the sixth man of the year in the NBA just within the last few years. So, without a doubt.
A couple of questions here from Twitter. Will Minji's Madness be making a comeback? Do you have any preseason ideas?
Yeah, good point. I don't know that yet. I think that's something that's a lot of time involved with the marketing group, and that's involved with more than just our program. And sometimes the men's and women's programs, we do it collectively. So some of those on what it looks like. We're getting ready to finish up. Our non-conference schedule is very close to finishing up. The conference schedule, as you know, doesn't normally come out until September because it's just a little bit later. They wait for TV. They have to wait, in fact, for games to be scheduled for the Memphis Grizzlies because of FedEx Forum. So they have to wait. So the AAC has to wait a lot of time for that. So those two things combined. So anything in the preseason for ECU basketball right now is kind of still in the works.
And, boy, this is an age-old question. What will be done to get more students to come out and get loud at games? And I feel like, man, at times the student turnout was great. It seemed like it maybe tapered off towards the end of the year, but that's something that goes through every program's mind, but especially here at East Carolina. What can you do to engage with the students?
Yeah, I think you got to do the creative aspects, and I think the marketing team did an incredible job last year, and whether it was stuff with the students before the game, whether it's giveaways, things like that. We as a coaching staff met with student groups, so you're always trying to do that, but Cliplet, I know the deal. We win.
Winning.
And we win, and we bring in teams. This is what's great about ECU. Look, when Wilmington came in last year, great atmosphere. We won the game. It was great. When South Carolina came in, we have the lead with 30 seconds left in the game. The atmosphere was phenomenal. When Memphis came in, when Houston's come in, we know the atmosphere can be great. And we've won big games with great atmospheres, and unfortunately, we fell short with some games with some great atmospheres. But here's what we love about ECU is that if we get it going and we win, and we fully expect to do so, it doesn't matter who comes through those doors. I think fans at ECU are looking at our team. They're coming to support the Pirates. They're not looking at who's in the other column on who we're playing. And you know what? You said it. It's kind of is a trend around college athletics. A lot of times people look at that schedule and they want to know who's coming in. That's going to make the decision if they come in and they want to sit in the seats. We got to do our job. We're going to do our job, but I think that Minji's Coliseum will be loud rocking with students and fans.
You mentioned scheduling. John Moody is a big MTE guy. We love Feast Week. We love those tournaments, and I know you'll be taking part in one. He says, can you talk about the challenge it is to get into a quality MTE? And does the process already start now for future years, or how do you go about getting in those tournaments?
That's a great question. Yes, it definitely the process. I'll go backwards. The process definitely has started moving forward. We've been in talks with, when I got here 2 years ago, I said ECU doesn't have to be a place that schedules every spring, year to year. We're in a big time conference. We have the opportunity to be a big-time basketball program, a national program, which we're trying to build towards. We can schedule series out. We can schedule MTEs down the line. And we did that with South Carolina. We did that with UNC Wilmington. We did that with George Mason, where we have years on years of deals and games scheduled in the future. MTEs is no different. We're in conversations with people for next year, the year after. I believe, per the American Conference, we're scheduled, and I have to confirm this, we're already slotted to go to the Rainbow Classic in Honolulu. That was the last I saw in last year's head coaches meetings, that we're scheduled. I don't know if it's in 2 years from now or 3 years from now, but this year we'll be in the Battle of the Boardwalk in Daytona. And it is difficult. That's a great point you made. It is difficult to get into the right ones, because here's what happens. You are discussing these so early sometimes, Clip, and you don't know who the other opponents are. You don't know some of the parameters, so you're trying to make a timely decision when you may not know the whole field. And you're looking at things like travel, your other non-conference schedule. So there's a lot that goes into it, but we feel excited to be in this because there's some really good teams in this tournament, and it's going to be a great three-game event.
Mike Schwartz joining us. Coach, in the past, when Terry Holland was here, he had connections as the legendary coach of Virginia, and we got Clemson in here and Wake Forest in here, and we beat NC State here. And when that happened, I said an ACC team will never come to Minges again, because Coach Mack ruined it by beating NC State and Sidney Lowen here. But how about just playing road games? From what I understand in the past, maybe the American did not want an East Carolina to go to NC State and them not make a return trip. Am I accurate in saying that? Can you not schedule games like that?
Oh, no. That's inaccurate.
Okay, all right.
We have tried tirelessly to get those games since I've been here.
Okay.
And again, I'm not saying it's because they don't want to play this. I mean, scheduling in basketball is a lot more complicated than anyone can really imagine. When you break down the analytics portion of everything and what each conference guideline has, each conference, the ACC, the SEC, the American, the Big Ten, they all put forth analytical guidelines. And if you guys, Ken Palm and all these different ones,
as far as what can make their resume look the best,
RPI, there's so many things: home game, road game, neutral game, quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. We're under the same scrutiny, but from a standpoint of trying to schedule games, again, that was a huge priority for me to be able to do that. And we got South Carolina coming in here last year.
Great.
Without a doubt, we want that. We want to bring Atlantic 10 teams in here. We want to bring. We would love to have a home-and-home series with an ACC team, with an SEC team, and I would tell listeners, and I would tell you, that never stops. We are trying to do that now. Do we get a team to say yes? Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to play a 1-for-1, or we're going to do a 2-for-1. You know what? You have to just kind of keep beating the drum until that drum breaks.
I would love an AAC A10 challenge like they do other conferences. I think that'd be fantastic.
I've been the biggest advocate of it with our conference. It's been discussed the last 2 years. I think without a doubt, the American Conference should have a challenge with the Atlantic 10 or the Mountain West.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Without a doubt. And it would help so much, Clip, in non-conference scheduling if we had a built-in. There's teams out there in conferences like the Big East has 2 to 3 built-in non-conference games because of classics and different challenges they have.
Yeah.
There's no doubt we should have one with another comparable conference.
Have you met with it all? Tim Pernetti, saw him talking football at AAC Football Media Days. How about him from a basketball standpoint?
I think we think we're very fortunate to have him. Very excited about him being, at the helm of our conference. And yes, I have spoken with him. I've spoken with him on the phone. His energy, his overall passion to make this conference an elite athletic conference, not just football, not just any other sport, but football, basketball, baseball, the brand of the American Conference. I think we have someone that is really forward-thinking and very much so going to help our conference.
Mike Schwartz joining us. Can you hang out one more segment with us?
Absolutely.
All right, back with you, Pirate Radio Live here on a Thursday. We'll release our conversation during the break for paid subscribers. Coach. That was a good one there. Mike Schwartz joining us, Pirate Radio Studios, and Coach, let's talk about real quick your staff before I forget. So, have we filled out the coaching staff?
Yeah, no, it's been a busy summer. I mean, since that end of that conference tournament, a lot has happened within our program, whether it was in the transfer portal, but also coaching staff wise. We did lose two coaches. We lost our sports performance coach, Keith Pugh, who was just fantastic for us.
Yeah, the beard.
Yes, the beard. He went back up to where he's from. His family was up there. You know, he had a 1-year-old son that had been born during the season, and I think he went up to go back up there and be closer to family.
I don't know what he did behind the scenes, but during games, he was the biggest hype man you had. He got everybody into it.
And you know what? He did equally as great a job with our guys in the weight room and during practice, and just an incredible human being, person, and great sports performance coach. So we wish him the best. But we replaced him with Colton Susan, who is coming here. Great person, great coach. Excited about him. He's already made a strong impact with our guys this summer. He's coming to us from Southern Illinois, where he has been, and a lot of experience, and he's done a great job so far this summer. And then we also lost Jake Morton. Jake Morton left, assistant coach, to take a job with Leonard Hamilton at Florida State. And, you know, I think about our coaching staff, Clip. You know, we've lost 3 coaches because the other coach we lost was Mark Adams. Mark Adams has gone back to join someone that he spent a lot of time with, Chris Beard at Ole Miss. So when I think about the 3 coaches we've lost since our time here, I've been here 2 years. We lost 1 coach to the University of Texas, Nick Mattson. He's to become an assistant coach at Texas. We lost 1 coach to go be an assistant coach with Chris Beard at Ole Miss, and we lost 1 to go be an assistant coach at Florida State. So, you know, those are 3 great programs with very respected head coaches, and that means I think that we have the right guys here. But you know what? Sometimes I think in any profession, and you would probably say the same in this building, sometimes you lose good people to good opportunities.
Sure.
And you know what? That's a good thing for them and their families. But we've hired Colton Susan in our sports performance position, and we hired I.J. Poole from Providence. He is now an assistant coach here, and so we're just very excited about the staff and looking forward to getting at it with them.
Good deal. We're talking scheduling earlier. Mike says, how about Richmond, home and home? Again, that goes back to the A10 deal we're trying to get here, but scheduling of VCU, Richmond area teams, we don't have to go back down that scheduling path again, but there are a ton of good programs within 2, 3, 4 hours around here.
And I can tell you, unequivocally, we have spoken with every single one of them.
Right.
We were, I thought, 1 hour to 2 hours away from having that Richmond series done this year. Date and everything, we were going to start up in Richmond, and we were going to come back into our building next year. Obviously, we have it with Mason. We played at Mason last year. Mason, on November 16th, will be in our building this year.
Game.
George Mason will be here. But VCU and Richmond, VCU, we didn't have as much traction with anything, but it was as close as it could possibly be with having a series completed with Richmond. There's just so many pieces to that puzzle. But I love these questions, and I agree, with that question and with that thought.
Let's see. I'll save Richard's question for the end. I'll run down. You mentioned Cam Hayes briefly. So he starts his season late. His first game was Florida. Yeah, a big game. So how about Cam and his development this offseason? What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is everyone knew there would obviously be a timing, a little bit of a lapse in terms of him getting going, because physically when you sit for 10 games and then all of a sudden, but I think the piece that everyone probably didn't give as much credence to is this, that when Cam got here in the summer, he was under the impression 100% he would not play. Then all of a sudden he starts to hear some murmurs.
That's right.
Hey, maybe I got a chance to play. Then it gets closer and they say, okay, you're going to have a decision, but they don't give him a decision. And then it goes back to not knowing. So that mental roller coaster he was on, actually, we think as a coaching staff, played more into why maybe he didn't kind of hit the ground running than just the physical piece.
Yeah.
And anyways,
because you got to have a lot of self-pride, and Cam probably does, but to think that maybe you wouldn't be playing, is he really going all in, like if he knows he would be playing?
He was going all in and working. The thing is, you're doing it in a totally different mindset. He was on the scout team all the time. Anytime we did stuff with the first team and the second team, he was not involved with any of that.
That makes sense.
And so there's a mental edge. The physical part he did. It's impossible to keep that mental edge if you have been said, well, you're not playing till next season.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's a carrot in front of you, and then it changes again. But to that point, Clip, he's been really good this offseason. He knows that he's going into his senior year, and from a physical standpoint, a mental standpoint, a leadership standpoint, I think Cam's had a great summer.
A couple other guys, some big men. If you watch the season progress, you saw Sear Malanga seemingly get more comfortable, at least from the outside looking in.
Yep.
And Callum Richard got quite a few minutes as well for East Carolina last year. How about the big trees inside? How have they developed their game this offseason?
Yeah, I think both guys have done a nice job. Sear has put on some weight, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, he had that breakout game at SMU last year. We lost in overtime in that game. He had 10 points, 9 rebounds. He played his best basketball in the final month of the season last year. Yep. It was really nice to see Big Cal play well in that Tulsa game and in the conference tournament up there. I thought he had 2 nice games up there playing. So we are really going to be relying on those 2 guys, down in the paint. They're both, again, I think they're both more comfortable. They were freshmen last year. It is a rarity to have freshmen play big minutes now, and Sear was starting at the end of last season, and he started games throughout the year. So both those guys, I think we've added some positional depth. I know we haven't spoken about him, but Reed Kaysen, a 6'10", 6'11 player we signed last week, will be here. Actually, tomorrow night he'll be here. He'll travel with us on our trip. So again, a big center inside that's got skill and can play above the rim some. So we're excited about him. And then C.J. Walker, who came here from Central Florida, who will play primarily the 4 position for us, the power forward, does have the ability to slide up to the 5 if we want to go small ball some and, maybe put a bigger wing or a guard at the 4 spot and slide CJ up to the 5. So, again, it does start with Sear and Cal, and they're going to be really important for us. But I like the depth that we're starting to put together in the front court.
And it looks like, looking at the roster, only 2 freshmen listed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Tybo Bailey, freshman, and LaDante Felton, freshman.
So got some upperclassmen here, some experience. Speaking of guys that came in late, and once again, help me with the pronunciation, Vungo?
Ben Salvungo, he came in last spring.
Yeah.
He came in and I got asked this question yesterday, why did you guys decide to bring someone in last spring, at the break? And again, it was 2-piece. One, Ben Sal had some very strong recruitment, but he was eligible and he was somebody that was looking to potentially go to college. So that was number one. And we had a scholarship. And if potentially we wait till the spring, the recruitment is just, this is part of the puzzle in recruiting. You're trying to find the right timing. So that was one. But a lot of people may or may not know Quentin DeBunje was hurt. He had hurt his ankle versus Florida Atlantic. I remember it was a 1-point game, 3 minutes to go. Quentin DeBunje drives the left side and he rolls his ankle.
Yeah,
huge game. And we have a chance to take the lead. I think they're number 10 or 15 in the country in that game. We're on the road, and he rolls his ankle, and they go on a 13-1 run after he goes down. And so Quentin basically never got back full shape. That was a nasty sprained ankle. That was about as bad as I've seen. And it kept him out basically for the rest of the year. Ben Biella was hurt at the time. So we were down 2 6'5", 6'6" big wings.
Yeah.
And so we didn't bring Ben Sal in because we thought, hey, we need him for the games right away. A big piece of what we do is in practice, and the ability to compete every day in practice had been really, it had been hurt.
You're down on numbers.
We're down on 2 big guys, 2 big wings. So Ben Sal was great, but he's doing very well. He's got a real toughness about him, Clip. He gets here. He's been in the U.S. for just a little bit over a year. He's learning a whole new system, a whole new speed of the game, but he's also learning a whole new language.
A whole culture.
And so, you know what? I think Ben Sal's doing great. We're really proud of him, and he's had a good summer so
He's
far.
a guy that gets on the court, and you're like, all right, physically he belongs. It almost looks like, Coach, that some of these guys just need to go through the games and the bright lights with the fans. Like, do you see that a lot where there's something here, but RJ's been in these wars for years now, so he gets it. Some of these guys are seeing it for the first time, right?
I think it's 100%. That's what it is. I think there's only one way to get experience, and that's to get experience.
Yeah.
And so it's a hard thing sometimes, but, threw him in that first game we played. His first game he was eligible to play, we played Temple at home. And we threw him in the game, and he makes a hustle play where he gets a loose ball. We end up scoring on the possession. And you know what? We won that game in overtime. So as a coach, you look back to that and you say, if we don't maybe get that extra possession, that game maybe doesn't get to go to overtime and we don't find a way to win. So the winning play is not always the last shot of the game. The winning play can come at any point, and Ben Sal helped us win that game in his first game as a Pirate.
Mike Schwartz joining us. Boy, this is a big picture question from Richard here, Coach, but a good one. What makes you believe next year will possibly be different from the previous two, as far as a win-loss standpoint?
Yeah, from win-loss standpoint. I do know this. We've won the most games since 2013-14 in our 2-year span with 31 regular season wins, and we've also the only time in the American Conference the last 2 years to win postseason games,
which is huge. Because
both years we did.
I don't care what you guys did at the regular season, win or lose. I said ECU's winning a conference tournament game. Mike Schwartz is going to win us at least one.
I promise you this: I really do care what we do during the regular season, non-conference and conference. But the most overall wins, the most conference wins, back-to-back years, and 2 years of the first 2 wins in the conference tournament. So, without a doubt, to answer this question, we want it to winning season. We have high goals from a win-loss standpoint. We want to win this conference, and we're going to do everything we can to be in position to win an American Conference championship. What gives me the feeling that this can be a better season than last year? Well, the 2 things right now that I know from what I've seen in practice so far, and we're together now for the last 7 weeks, is number 1, this team has great energy. Okay, we had some experience last year age-wise, but if you look back on some of the things, and again, this is all part of the new era of college basketball. We got 4 transfer portal guys right now. We talked about them. Jan Farrell, C.J. Walker, Jordan Riley, Julian Samaro. So you got St. Bonaventure, started 64 of 65 games. C.J. Walker, starter in the Big 12. Jordan Riley, starter at Temple, 12 points a game. Julian Samaro, starter at Gardner-Webb. So our 4 transfers are starters coming in as starters, which means they have real production experience. 2 of them averaging double figures at their previous school, and the other 2 right there. So there's a difference between being old in age, Clip, and experience.
Right.
And when you look at last year's team transfer-wise, Bobby Pettiford, really great player, great person.
Yeah.
Had never played the role at Kansas. He had been his most he ever played was 14 minutes a game. Had great experience there. When you think about Jaden Walker and Quentin DeBunje, before they came to ECU, they didn't play at their previous institution, Tennessee and Iowa State. So I think sometimes the age and the year is what people look at, but really it's the experience. As you alluded to R.J. Felton. R.J. Felton has gained this because he played, but R.J. didn't play his first year. And over the years, see how he's grown. So I think to answer the question, I think we have true experienced guys that have been productive at really good schools with great coaches and great leagues. I love our 2 junior college guys, Travion LeBeau and Jay Shane Woodard. They were both All-Americans in junior college over the last 2 years. Jay Shane, first team 2 years ago, second or third team last year. Travion LeBeau, first team last year. And when I think about those 6 guys, the experience they've had, the energy that has been in practice that we've seen as a coaching staff, and probably the biggest thing, I think will be the deepest team we've had in 3 years here. I think the depth at the guard spot, the depth in the post, especially with adding Reed Kaysen, at least from just from a big body standpoint. So I like those things a lot. And does that equate to answer this question with, hey, we're going to get here, get there? I can promise you this. We're working at it every day, and that is our goal. Our goal is to try and win a conference championship.
Mike Schwartz joining us, Coach. Awesome stuff, man. You fire up the Pirate Nation every time you talk. Just some dates to look out for. So next week you'll be in the Bahamas, is that right?
Yeah, we'll go Monday and we'll come back Friday, and in between we'll have 2 games, Tuesday and Thursday. And I think there'll be some reports out on it. I think
Sure.
we got Grady traveling with us, our sports information director, and he'll put stuff out there. And I think it's going to be a great experience. I think Steven Sepulveda, our social media director, will be kind of tracking the trip and putting it out there for Pirate Nation to see. But really feel so fortunate for our guys to get this experience. But yeah, it's next week.
And some of these things kind of out of your control, but when do you think we'll get that non-conference schedule? You know
what? I think the non-conference schedule, I would say within the next probably 10 days to 2 weeks will be announced fully. We're just down to needing 1 game left.
Okay.
And you don't want to announce it till really you have the whole thing, but I can say we know we got George Mason coming in on November 29th into Minges Coliseum. We got UNC Wilmington coming back to Minges on December 3rd.
Nice.
We play at South Carolina on December 7th. We'll be playing in that boardwalk battle November 21st through November 23rd. Our home opener, which is not decided who it will be yet, will be Monday, November 4th.
Okay.
So we have that game. December 21st, we play Gardner-Webb at home. December 17th, we play FIU, Florida International. Really good program coming in here on December 17th in Minges. So it's right there to be complete. We just got to put that final couple pieces.
So look for that in August, and then you said maybe September for the full conference.
Yeah,
slate?
and that's American Conference.
Yeah.
That's American Conference. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that they announced the pairings.
We got the pairings, yeah.
So we know UAB is coming into Minges. We know Florida Atlantic is coming in. We know Temple is coming into Minges Coliseum. We know Charlotte is coming in. We play at Memphis. We play at Tulsa. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but the double-up games and then the away only and the home only. But it's going to be a great home slate, in Greenville.
Coach, I know you've been working your tail off. Kenny says, what do you do in your downtime? Ocean or mountains? What do you like to do if you do have downtime?
I'm gonna say ocean over mountains, even though I really do. We haven't had a chance yet to really enjoy this off season, just because it's been such a whirlwind since the season ended. But we're gonna go take this work trip to the Bahamas. I know that doesn't sound right, but yeah. We're gonna go do that, which is great. And then I think we will have a couple weeks where our guys will finally go home, and the coaching staff will be able to maybe just say, you know what, let's just take a breath here for a second, get ready for the fall. But I appreciate the question. But it's been great to be around these guys. This is a great team of a group of guys that I think this Pirate Nation is really going to enjoy getting to know and getting to watch play.
I've seen that on social media too. I believe there was a basketball dinner recently.
Last night. It was fantastic.
And a lot of out in the community and stuff, and people really connect. And we like having the players on Pirate Radio to connect them with fans. I feel like that's been a big push here the last 5 to 10 years with social media presence and everything, kind of connecting the athletes to the fans as people rather than just, robots playing sports.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. And through social media and through all the things that you just talked about, and if they can come in here and speak and speak to you guys. But this is a fun group to be around every day. And I use that word energy, and I don't say it lightly. Again, the question about, hey, what gives us the confidence or what gives us the optimism? First of all, Clip, I think I'm a pretty optimistic person.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll with that anyways. But this group's energy every day, their competitiveness, what they bring to start practice. We practice in the mornings, and you would never know that it's early in the morning when we walk in that gym. And again, this is just the very beginning of the process, and there's so far to go, and we have so much to build and get better at, but we like the foundation that is being laid right now by this group of guys to complement what's happened over the first 2 seasons.
Tyler said, Coach has such a high basketball IQ. I don't remember what I had for breakfast. He has tattooed on his mind who and when ECU is playing. So you're impressing the folks. Coach Schwartz, thanks so much for your time. We'll let you get back to work and also enjoy your family life. But appreciate the chat, and we'll catch up again down the road, man.
Yes, awesome, Clip. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.